Kumusta for me? This is Avor Joseph and welcome to News I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition number 8. This summarization of the news starts from the headlines for the 16th to 22nd of July 2023. Get maganda na for the blazing selective summation. This is the news headlines for Sunday, 16th of July, 2023. Water service interruption interrupted. Water service interruption interrupted. Due to Bagyong Dodong, Manila has suspended the water service interruption set last week. The water service interruption will put less pressure on Caloocan, Malabon, Manila, Navotas, Quezon City, and Valenzuela's residents. This is actually a very good news, as I've already said in the previous News Item Weekly Recap number 7. I think 7 or 6. Like July 15th, I think, Bagyong Dodong ravaged through the archipelago, which had resulted into an increase in the water level in the Angat, Ipo, and I forgot the other dam. Magat Dam, there we go. These are the news headlines for Monday, 17th of July, 2023. Refugees entering the country. Crime is down in the first half of 2023. Refugees entering the country. The Office of the President is said to be still looking into the United States' request to host Afghan refugees in the country. He has yet to make a decision regarding this issue, as the POTUS has already requested him to accept the temporary stay of these Afghan refugees. I personally wouldn't, seeing as we're the ones supplying labor to other countries. We have the OFWs. We are not built to incorporate refugees if they have somewhere to go as well. They're not Jews who are persecuted for almost half of the military power of the globe. We are a growing nation supported by immigrants and overseas workers. We can add another burden to the crumbling infrastructure of welfare. We can't protect even our own. We can't serve our own. Why would they think that we can serve others as well, even if temporarily? Not to mention, we do not want to impede on the sovereignty over the people of the current Afghani government, because that would reflect poorly on us, seeing as we are the ones supplying, as I said, labor to other countries. And to do that, well, it would be like King Louis XVI support for the growing democracy of the United States of America, fighting against the British imperial power. Although, maybe I could have had a better analogy for that, but that's basically what the gist of it all is. It's the fact that we supply our own refugees. Realistically, call the overseas Filipino workers as refugees. Not because of political, maybe even political if I'm being honest, but mostly economical. We could maybe accept them if we are running a huge surplus and when the quality of life of our fellow Filipinos has drastically improved, that they do not need to go elsewhere for such a mundane wage. Crime is down in the first half of 2023. According to the Philippine National Police, the country's crime rate has dropped by 10.14% in the first half of 2023 in the Philippines compared to the first half of 2022, from 20,765 reported focused crimes to 18,660. These focused crimes are murder, homicide, physical injury, robbery, theft, and rape. Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure what to expect of that, but I don't really know what I would say about this particular issue, just because sure, it's a 10.14% drop from the first half of 2022, but it's still, we are what, 110 million now already, so I guess good for us. I'm not really sure. I mean, there are a lot of unreported crimes, and the fact that cyber crimes have been up like 200% in the same time period, as I discussed like previously in another NIDW Recap Weekly Edition episode. These are the news headlines for Tuesday, 18th of July, 2023. ICC to continue drug war probe, Marcos signs MIF bill, and Duterte meets with Xi. ICC to continue drug war probe. The International Criminal Court's Appeals Chamber has ruled 3-2 to refuse the Philippine government's appeal to discontinue questioning and investigation of the previous administration's war on drug, which may see us seeing our populist leader to be tried and most probably convicted of crimes against humanity. And that's a bad prospect. Even if you do not really agree with Duterte's statement, you should feel a little bit eerie that our president of a free nation, or supposedly free nation, are to be tried in a foreign court. Like, that's weird. If you want justice, let our justice system handle it. I mean, Marcos wouldn't really cooperate with the ICC unless we're levied sanctions against us. That would be bad. The Philippines has neglected membership of the Rome Statute since March 17, 2018, which created jurisdiction over its members to be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court, which covers genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. According to the ICC, the drug war occurred even before the Philippines has formally notified the UN Secretary General of the withdrawal, and in accordance with the ICC treaty, the withdrawal took effect 1 year later, from the 1st of July 2016 to around 1 year after March 17, 2018. According to the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA, thousands of suspected users and dealers died from July 2016 to September 2018, which is around the coverage of the Rome Statute. They have done from 2016 to 2021 216,138 operations and 311,686 arrests. According to the Philippine National Police or PNP, dozens of thousands of deaths, although I couldn't give an exact estimate for the numbers because they vary from sources to sources, from the liberal to the nationalist, and the official tally. How would you even define extrajudicial killings via dragon wars? I personally firmly believe that former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte should not be tried in the ICC. It is a slippery slope that leads us to letting foreign bodies and judicial courts to persecute, prosecute, and convict people, especially our leaders of our land, into a state that could be described as extradition, basically. We must strive forward to such a judicial system that international bodies need not require such enormous efforts just for accused individuals to see trials with substance. We need to believe in our judicial system, even if right now it's not really up to what a lot of people would want. Hope for it to get better over time through reforms. Because if we did that, if we let the ICC to prosecute Rodrigo Roa Duterte, we are setting a precedent, a dangerous, slippery slope of a precedent that a president of our great nation can ever be prosecuted and tried for crimes against humanity. Unlike liberals and unlike conservatives that align themselves with Duterte, or those that did not for the liberals, I see tangential and the perception of why this dragon wars is actually a benefit to our society, just because of the authoritarianism that Duterte has instilled in our lives, that these love of authoritarian strongman rule will benefit us in the long term. If I was in his position, I would not have been so flamey about it. If that's the solution, then why wouldn't I? The ends justify the means. And for Duterte, a lot of people will argue that he did reach the ends to his means, however controversial that may be. And the people loves Duterte. And since, Sara Duterte, his daughter, even became the vice president, even having a bigger vote count than the president himself, than the Senate top-notcher himself, well, you'll see how it would cause and wreak havoc. Marcos signs MIF bill. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has signed Republic Act 11954, or the Maharlika Investment Fund Act of 2023, written by Mark Villar, and was supposedly, and I would suggest, hurriedly so approved, bereaving the opposition to ever have a supposedly significant and reasonable opposition against said bill. They didn't really have a chance. The MIF, or the Maharlika Investment Fund, is the Philippines' first sovereign wealth fund. The wealth fund aims to provide profit through investments through diversified assets in the wildly gambling crazy market, which may jeopardize the 500 billion peso capital through future corruption. I've already said what I wanted to say about this bill. If you want to see those, just go to the previous NIDW recasts, mainly episode 1 and 2. I've already said what I wanted to say with this wealth fund, and so repeating it would be a waste of time, considering many more authoritative and credible experts advised against it. And surprisingly enough, the urgent bill was urgently approved, deliberated, and signed. Duterte meets with Xi. Former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has met with the People's Republic of China's General Secretary Xi Jinping in Beijing. Xi has advised in a meeting with Duterte to advise President Bongbong Marcos to have a better relationship with China, which he enjoyed when Duterte was in office. Remember the whole ordeal about Duterte being a puppy of China? Or at least that's what they claim them to be? Well, I think it's a great political maneuvering by Duterte. A lot of tension even when Duterte was in office regarding the China's illegitimate claim to the West Philippine Island portions and other legitimate overlaps with the EEZs of other countries. BBBM expressed happiness during the discussion between the two leaders, although doesn't that look like cocking to you? I mean, it's supposed to be a private conversation, and now that the cat was out of the bag, it doesn't seem like you have much control in your ranks. Isn't that a bit looking like a weak leader, as Duterte once said, referring to you? Aren't you just proving his point? Your predecessor, the one talking rather than you in the world stage. Anyway, let Duterte do the dirty work for now. And to those people saying Duterte is a traitor for even talking and cozying up to Xi Jinping even in his presidency, well, Duterte should promote diplomatic ties with many countries, including and most importantly with China. I see his friendly demeanor to China as a strategic one, in his case as an authoritarian but also a populist, country-loving, and pragmatic approach to the territory problem that we currently are facing. China is a huge problem. China is a huge trading partner, and isolating or alienating them would only be a disservice to the Filipino people. We should walk a fine line and make the best of our situation as an important geopolitical player in the region. We have to play and balance each other out. We have to balance the forces of the US and Japan and South Korea, along with the political powers of our regional compatriots such as China, even Russia. It just seems so weird that Duterte basically just went past BBM, flying over his head. That looks like cocking to me. Basically being bypassed by your predecessor to talk to a foreign power. It just seems so freaking weird. These are the news headlines for Wednesday, 19th of July, 2023. Makati residents transferred to Taguig City and transportation rehabilitation spree. Makati residents transferred to Taguig City. The Supreme Court of the Philippines has ruled in a favor of the city of Taguig regarding its claim on Makati's 2nd District, which accounts for 10 barangays with over 300,000 residents. The city of Makati has filed a motion for reconsideration for said ruling back in 2022 but was ultimately junked by the Supreme Court just this year. If y'all are wondering, it's around the BGC area along with some barangays around said area. In a heartfelt video released by Makati City Mayor Abby Binoy, she highlighted the certain benefits that the residents of then Makati benefiting from the social welfare, healthcare, and financial assistance programs by the city may be discarded as they are no longer a resident, nor would the new city, Taguig, presiding over the jurisdiction be providing the same benefits of the same caliber for the senior citizens, scholar grants of more than 3,500 senior high school graduates entering college. Basically saying she wants someone to look after those that would be neglected by the technicalities of them not being a part of Makati anymore, and that she has been questioning Taguig's requirement for said scholarship grants and other amenities to be matched by the appropriating city, Taguig, costing over billions of pesos. Would they be spending billions of pesos just to keep up with whatever Makati was already providing to those citizens? Transportation rehabilitation spree. The new 4th generation train set for LRT-1 has been inaugurated to help further with congestion and efficient public transportation for the Metro Manila area, and soon for the convenient extension, which will cut travel time to only about around 30 minutes, expected also to benefit around 800,000 once the line was finished. It is an even more accommodating, advanced and convenient mode of transportation costing around 13 billion pesos. There were some controversies regarding the fitness of the train, as it was found back then to have some deficiencies, leaks, and other damaged components that needed to be fixed the last time before even being used by the public. I actually saw the train when I was in Central Station earlier. The first batch will be deployed according to the LRMC, adding an additional 20,000 passengers in our throughput, or the bandwidth of our transportation sector of LRT-1. I love these. Good job, BBBM. Way to go padding your sauna with some actual good stuff like the Agri Reform Bill signed like last week or last week. I wish I could ride those as well, which I apparently didn't because it was already full because it was rush hour at that time. In other news, the National Economic and Development Authority or NIDW has approved the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Rehabilitation Project, aiming to improve overall state of the international airport's 4 terminals from 35 million to 62 million capacity. These the news headlines for Thursday, 20th of July, 2023. SC absolves Marcos Tantoco of Graft cases and DOJ Secretary won't cooperate with the ICC. SC absolves Marcos Tantoco of Graft cases. The Supreme Court of the Philippines has strengthened the forfeiture petition filed in 1987 after the People's Power Revolution, accusing the patriarchs of both Marcoses and Tantoco's family of graft, unlawfully withdrawing from the National Treasury, the Central Bank, and other financial institutions and placed on dummy accounts. The previous dismissal of PCGG's petition to reconsider said decision in 2019 was struck down due to insufficient evidence and needing of the court to perform logical leaps and circumstantial evidence. Big whoop. You draw your own conclusion about this. They got some fine wealth diversificators. DOJ Secretary, senators won't cooperate with the ICC. According to the Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, as a continuation of the crusade against ICC, has a firm conviction of non-cooperation against the ICC, even if said drug war probe are to continue as ruled by the ICC Appeals Chamber after junking the Philippine government's petition to stop any investigations in the drug war earlier this week. He's basically saying the Department of Justice and the country's justice system is sufficient to handle the internal and national issues without the help of foreign bodies or intervention of such. I guess my body, my rules. Senators have also voiced dismay over the ICC Appeals Chamber's decision, including those writing off of former President Rodrigo Duterte's popularity, including Ronald Bato de la Rosa, his PNP chief and basically the executor, I guess, and Bongo, Duterte's former executive secretary. Again, I still don't believe we should let foreign bodies indict our former leaders no matter what, unless they did some really shitty stuff. Although, maybe double jeopardize them. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that, first and foremost, it's Filipino first, along with the judgment and basically every stuff. This is the news headline for the Friday, 21st of July, 2023. New AFP Chief Browner formally appointed. New AFP Chief Browner formally appointed. There's a new sheriff or chief in town, and his name is General Romeo Browner Jr. The 68th AFP Chief of Staff was formally appointed in Camp Aguinaldo. PBBM commands the new AFP chief to enhance the military in all its aspects over looming security threats both from the inside and outside the country, though he said to shift focus from internal to external conflicts back then, to serve and protect the citizens of our nations, especially the communities of conflict-ridden areas. The new AFP chief was set to focus on the AFP modernization program as urged and promoted by the President, along with recalibration in security from international, external, and cybersecurity threats. This is the news headlines for Saturday, 22nd of July, 2023. Public health emergency for COVID-19 lowered. Public health emergency for COVID-19 lowered. The Department of Health and President Bongbong Marcos has declared the state of public health emergency in the country no more. On the way to his second State of the Nation address, PBBM has, in last bits of hurry, padded his list of accomplishments even more by removing the country's public health emergency due to COVID-19 to be no more. I couldn't even be mad because he's at a good place right now where a lot of his certified urgent bills are approved or already pushed through the Congress. Inflation is down, employment is up, and hospitalization is low. If I would rate PBBM's first year in office, it would be a nice 7 plus or minus 1 to 2 points out of 12, just because of all the inflation, traveling, political misadventures, blunders, and some innate disadvantage as a benefactor of fake news in the country proliferating. It's a nice 7 out of 12 because the last few years of Duterte's presidency was really hampered down by the pandemic. Compared to the last 2 years of Duterte's presidency, PBBM is on an all-time high. And that's the end of News I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition from July 16 to July 22nd, 2023. Suggest some more topics and or corrections to the balitas if you feel I misrepresented them in any way. Salamat sa mga panonood mga kabayang of me. Like, subscribe, and follow my links and socials on Of Joseph that would be linked down below. Salamat sa panonood muli. Paalam.